Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Cherry Blossom Girls 6 by Harmon Cooper, narrated by P.J. Ochlan. Chapter 1. Hot Tub Time Machine. I can't go back to yesterday, because I was a different person then. Gideon's Adventure in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll would be an accurate title to my biography if Carroll really wanted to go down that rabbit hole. Alas, Carroll was dead, having apparently left the word alas for me to use in a book opener, which is probably a literary no-no in some circles. I could feel my world literature prof at Southern Connecticut rolling her eyes now, circling the word alas, hating me for her poor choice of careers, cursing Generation Z and their emoji and irony-driven take on a world she no longer knew. But like most generations before, the older always despise the younger. The damn baby boomers still causing a shitstorm for the whiny millennials, who have learned to despise those of us born way after the invention of high-speed internet. Go figure. So to her and all like her, I feel the following statement is apropos. Prohibited emoji, alarm clock emoji, bull emoji, pile of poo emoji. Translation: no time for bullshit. The circle of life? Something like that. But I had bigger concerns than what generation I'd been born in, or what made my generation better or worse than the last, or why the Zelda theme music was running through my head at the moment. While healed, the Cherry Blossom Girls and the Gideonist man this side of the Book of Judges were pooped after our fight in the vineyard with Natalie Johansson and her crew of awfuls. Tired as hell. Weird to think we once had a temporary alliance with Angel, especially now that the greasy ant impregnator was probably more pissed with me than he'd ever been before. But war is war, and what Michelle did to Mother, while terrible, was poetic justice. Cue my world lit prof blasting me for interpreting a super speedy teen stabbing a pregnant telepath in the tummy as poetic, but fuck me, it was 2030, and while things had changed, allusions and metaphors were still similar enough for me to confuse the two. All that nonsense to say, rooftop hot tub with Grace, who was naked as the day she was, well, grown in a lab.
"Do you want me to turn it off?"
she asked, her foot moving against my leg. She stretched her toes out until they touched my little rider. There were bubbles bursting all around me, and at first I thought she meant the jets, until the Scandinavian pin-up dream tapped a single finger against the side of her head. "You mean my mind," I said, awestruck by her beauty. She nodded, her blue eyes softening as my worries and constant ramblings melted away. The hazy night sky above, showing just a few stars, seemed less concerning than it had been moments ago. My thoughts suddenly light years away. The only thing still on my mind, and just barely at that, was our future meeting with Father, which was scheduled for a day from now. Sent from Songsmith51 at googleface.com, his email simply gave us a location, Bodega, California, somewhere in northern Cali on the way to the great state of Washington, which was our next destination anyway, and a note for us to find him using a cryptic message. Bodega, Joy Road, noonish. So we had tomorrow to kill, and rather than train or sit around and lick our wounds, I was already planning to do something we'd never done before. After all, regardless of what the general public thought of us now, we were looking to shake things up. The Cherry Blossom Girls were planning to do some good for once. Chapter 2. The Chinatown Murders. As I brushed my teeth, I recalled that I had Father, Jules, Stella, and Grace's powers on deck. If I plugged into the modifier on my neck, I'd see something like Main, Superpower Manipulation and Modification, Power Learning 4, Storage Capacity 4, Energy Channeling 4, Ability Imprinting 3, Borrowed power propensity 4. Power negation. Negation control, elemental negation, temporary power erasure, obsolescence. Cell regeneration. Regenerative healing factor, regrowth, cellular activation, flawless restoration. Psychic. Second sight, psychometry, telepathy, psychokinesis, hypnosis, nightmare sight. Vector manipulation. Kinetic energy manipulation, vibration emission, inertia negation, telekinetic regeneration, velocity manipulation, aversion field creation, overcharge. I was planning to keep the first two, swapping out the latter when necessary. And hopefully, once we met with Father, I would get an explanation of his reality manipulation ability. I couldn't tell by the tone of his email how he was feeling, mostly because it was just 2 lines, and while he had no way of knowing which powers I had used, the odds of him seeing me on television or on some other form of media was high. He probably wasn't happy about my newfound public glory. But Father knew they were after me, they being a lot more people than the last time we met. It would be interesting to see what he had to say. Jake's email was still sitting in my inbox, probably telling me something about audiobook production or progress on the Mutants in the Making omnibus. He had also attached the final cover to the email, a modified version of the pink one with the lady's face poking out of a wall that I had made for the second installment, now with the word omnibus written on the bottom of the cover, my name off-center and on the top. It was weird to go from being in the driver's seat when it came to publishing my books to letting someone else do it, handing over the controls, letting them modify my covers, select my narrators, choose my editor, and manage my release schedule. I didn't like it, that was for sure. My phone buzzed just as I bent forward to spit. I checked to see that I had received another message from the producer of the James Andrew Hour, asking if I would like to come on the show again. I was just about to swipe the message away when I felt a subtle breeze push past me. "I thought we told you not to do that," I told Michelle, the black-haired teenager with pink streaks in her hair. She had used her incredible speed to move through the wall, stopping just before she collided with me.
"I didn't know anyone was in here,"
she said, some of her hair falling in her face as she tilted her chin forward in shame. Why do I feel like that's not true? You know, I do have Grace's power with me right now.
"I'm sorry, Gideon, and you shouldn't brush your teeth and use your phone at the same time. You could hurt yourself."
"And you came into the bathroom to tell me that?" She clenched her eyes shut and breathed deeply.
I just feel bad about what I've done, to Mother."
Well, like I said before, this isn't on you. This is on me. Let me bear this weight. It wasn't your fault, I told her in all seriousness. You were trying to help us.
"You really need a haircut,"
she said as she hopped up onto the counter.
"And maybe a shave. You're starting to look like a grizzly man. There's a renovation show out called Grizzly Renos. Did you ever watch it? It has 2 men who call themselves bears. I don't know why they call themselves this. I'm sorry, I feel bad."
I stared at the young super for just a moment longer, wishing that there was more that I could do. She was like a little sister to me, especially after all we'd been through, and seeing her so distraught was pulling at my heartstrings. I wanted to change things, somehow turn back time, put this burden on someone else. I think tonight that you should have Grace erase your mind. Or maybe Chloe. She can get you some sleep. It's important that you rest.
"I never rest,"
she said, jittery as ever. I know. And at the rate you're going... You know what? Never mind. Just relax for us, and I'll send word to Grace now to let her know that she needs to help you.
Okay.
I'm serious, and there's nothing wrong with feeling guilt for what has happened. But remember, this is my fault. I put all of us in the situation, and Natalie Johansson was coming after me, not any of you. Remember that. Michelle hopped off the counter.
"You have toothpaste in your beard."
With that, the speedster was gone, just as quickly as she'd come. Michelle was getting better at using this ability. She didn't even need a running start now, which was frightening. Maybe some of the training we'd done had paid off, or maybe it was just like any skill. Once she learned it, it got easier. I looked down at my phone and saw that Luke had sent me a message asking me to give him a call at some point, to catch him up on what was going on with me. I sent him the thumbs up emoji, selecting a particular emoji all about diversity and inclusion due to the skin tone of the thumb changing colors. To solidify my answer, I also added a GIF from Parks and Rec of Ron Swanson giving someone a thumbs up. From there, I started Google-facing Unsolved California Murder, focusing on news stories written in and around Los Angeles. We had a day to kill tomorrow, and I wanted to use it to do a number of things, from checking out property in Colorado to... That's what I'm looking for, I said to myself as I clicked on an article about the Chinatown murders. I scanned through it and opened a new browser on my phone, focusing on the topic. Since about 2016, there had been a string of gruesome murders targeting undocumented sex workers in LA's Chinatown. The bodies were barely identifiable by the time they were discovered, their fingers removed, and biblical phrases carved into the women's skin. There seemed to be about one murder a year, as well as a handful of other cases that the police assumed had been committed by the same person. Law enforcement had done the best they could to bust massage parlors and raid Asian restaurants, turning over every wok and rickety massage table with mysterious stains on it. But this led to protests from the general public claiming the police were racially profiling Asians, and the police could never seem to keep the parlors in particular closed for very long. I had never been to an Asian massage parlor myself, but I did remember hearing about a few that were busted in the Yale area a couple years back. I remembered my coworker at the time, a second-generation Korean American, saying it was weird how much Americans obsessed about these types of establishments. According to him, they were just part of life in Asia, and no one really did anything about them, nor did they really care. Somehow I interpreted this as, if you outlaw hand jobs, only outlaws will get hand jobs, which elicited a pretty big laugh from my coworker. Clicking through a few more articles, I discovered that there had actually been a murder just a few weeks back, and that the police didn't have any leads. Because of a couple of new laws, law enforcement couldn't simply raid Chinatown anymore just because the residents were of the Asian variety. All they could do was rely on information campaigns and a tip line they'd set up. So, murderer on the loose, killing masseuses. It didn't take much longer to figure out what precinct was handling the investigation, and once I noted it, I started plotting how we would pay the place a visit tomorrow. I would definitely need to absorb Grace's shifter ability, taking my old man Gideon form. A knock at the door startled me. "Are you making brownies in there?" Chloe asked from the other side. "No, I was researching something." Before I could say anything else, the shapely brunette with her unique oblong face stepped into the bathroom, wearing an oversized t-shirt and not much else.
"You sent Michelle to bed?"
she asked, or purred, one of the two. I did.
"Okay. Then it's time for someone to send you."
The sound manipulator reached her hand out to me, and as soon as our fingers met, I started to notice a glow around her throat. Everything dimmed as she led me forward, my thoughts far behind me now. The future, a darkened bedroom, a bed, a pillow, a place for eternal slumber. Chapter 3. Cherry Blossom Breakfast.
Ah, he looks like a baby when he's sleeping. Gross. The last thing we need around here is a baby. We already have Michelle. "You're so harsh, V,"
Dorian told Veronique. The voices were coming to me, slowly but surely, along with the dirty morning light peeking its bitch ass through the drapes, casting a blue hue over the room. Sorry, mornings are rough. Dorian was to my right, Veronique to my left, using a pillow to prop herself up against the headboard, her hair slightly wet from the shower she'd recently taken. "How did I get here?" I asked, everything still a blur to me. I reached over Dorian's body and found my glasses on the nightstand. Once they were on my face, I could see her smiling at me, her black bangs touching the tops of her eyebrows.
"Chloe brought you in," Veronique said. "She said she found you in the bathroom."
"I was doing research."
"So that's what we're calling it now,"
Dorian teased. "No, really, that's what I was doing. We're meeting Father tomorrow, so I figured we would do something a bit different today. Well, I have a lot of plans for today, actually, so it's good I got some rest." I sat up and leaned against the headboard with Veronique. She was in a tank top, a cotton one that she'd found among the closets with the word California screen printed across its front. She smelled of something sweet, honeysuckle maybe, or candied carnations. I didn't know what the smell was, but I liked it.
"After what happened yesterday, I think it's best if we just lay low. We should probably do some training as well,"
Veronique said in her trademark flat tone. "I've got bigger plans, but you don't have to go." In fact, I looked to Dorian, who was also in the process of sitting up. "I think I will only need 2 of you. You and Grace."
"Sounds like fun,"
Dorian said. She yawned, rubbing some sleep out of her eyes.
"Stop looking at me. I still have my morning face on."
"You look great to me," I offered.
"What is this plan you keep going on about, Gideon?"
Veronique asked. Her focus was on a magazine in her lap, a thick publication dedicated to home interiors. The particular article she was reading seemed to be about wood types and how they relate to feng shui. "So, as you both know, we're changing things up a bit," I explained for probably the 20th time. "And I know it sounds dumb to say it like that, but we need to start doing stuff that helps people. That's the new CBG mission statement. Tear shit up, fine, but also help rebuild it."
"Mission statement?"
Veronique rolled her eyes.
"So you're trying to become a hero now? How?"
"Think about it. You are all granted these amazing powers, and I have some pretty cool powers now if I do say so myself, but we're public enemy number 1 right now. Or at least I am. We don't have to be. Or better, maybe we won't always be. Especially after we finish AFL off." Yeah, I thought, psyching myself up. The Agency of Enhancement and Future Logistics was eternally in our crosshairs. But it was a good cause, damn it.
"Seems like it's more of your problem than it is ours," said Veronique. "I really don't care for the general public or what they think, nor do I see them as enemies or friendlies. They're obstacles at best, nuisances at worst. They are also food."
"Oh, come on, Veronique, you don't mean that. You like coffee, right?" She nodded at me. "Without regular people, normals as Angel the Ant-Fucker called them, there wouldn't be coffee." I looked at her over the rim of my glasses. "And there wouldn't be you." I felt a sudden tension in my chest, my energy waning for a moment.
"Careful,"
she said, the hand holding the magazine flashing red.
"So, you think we should start doing some volunteer work?"
Dorian asked, ignoring or oblivious to the tension in the bed. "That's right. And I've been thinking about it, and trying to frame it in terms of, some of the comic books I read. Like Rising Stars. That's a good one. It really makes you think what a hero has to go through to become, well, a hero, and how fragile the balance really can be. I mean, there are other comics that do that. It's kind of an archetype. But the first thing we need to do is start helping the general public, no matter how they feel about us. Think of it as our mission to sway public opinion."
"I thought our mission was to tear shit up, but also rebuild it,"
said the metal vampire.
"And you still didn't answer my question,"
Dorian added. "There's been a string of murders over the last decade in California targeting women. specifically undocumented sex workers, and the police can't seem to get a lead on it. What I'd like to do this morning is help them figure out who's doing these killings. Hell, maybe we can catch the person for them. Make it easy.
I'm in,
Dorian said almost immediately.
Pass,
said Veronique. That's fine. I was going to see if Stella wanted to do it, or maybe Chloe. The teens are too young, but I'm sure one of the other two will be into it.
Wait. So you, Dorian, and one of them will be going out for the day dealing with this?
Veronique asked. And Grace. We'll definitely need her powers. Veronique reconsidered an offer I hadn't yet made.
In that case, count me in. But if we happen to find the person that's doing this, I will make him suffer. I'm assuming it is a him. Most serial killers are male.
We can't kill him, I told her. Law enforcement needs to solve the case. I just want to help them. That's another thing we're going to have to think about. What is our role in the criminal justice system? I would like the proper authorities to be the ones who bring justice. We'll give them what they need. Hell, we can even lead them to the person. But going forward, I would like for law enforcement to be the ones who make the final decision.
Fine.
Veronique got out of bed, and once she was standing, she adjusted the bottom of her boy shorts, so they again covered her ass cheeks.
Clarence should have breakfast ready soon. See you two down there.
After her jean shorts were on, Veronique slipped out of the room.
How long do you think it will take us to find this guy?
Dorian asked as she too got out of bed. She was in less underwear than Veronique, making it damn near impossible for her to pull the fabric down to cover her rear. She moved over to the dresser, where she found a pair of fishnet tights to slip into. It won't take us very long with Grace's power. It may get a little gruesome, though, so I hope you're prepared for that. Also, we're going to need to dress a little bit more conservative because of the fact we'll be going to the police station. That should be easy for Grace, but you...
Crap. Who is the guy that owns the house again?
Scott Reed, the Hollywood director.
Yeah, him,
she said.
I don't think he has a pantsuit lying around. I mean, at least one that doesn't have some sort of fur motif going for it.
I recalled that Director Reed was super into furry cosplay. I didn't quite see the appeal, but I made it a point to not yuck someone else's yum. No worries. We'll have Clarence order one to the address and choose expedited shipping, I said aloud, also thinking the command to Grace. It'll be here by the time we're wrapping up breakfast. That is, if we order now. Dorian tapped on her temple.
Did you already tell Grace?
You know it. Grace's response came a moment later, ringing out in my head as usual, as if she were both whispering in my ear and existed somewhere along my corpus callosum.
I hear you, Writer Gideon. I will make sure Clarence does this now. Also, I want to sleep a little bit longer, so save me some breakfast. I'll need my beauty sleep if I'm supposed to play detective today.
My phone buzzed again. An incoming call from Jake Archibald. Rather than answer, I continued working on the pile of home fries that Clarence had made. Good stuff, too. The outer edges of the potatoes slightly brown, the middle part soft and moist. I was starting to think of Clarence as our Alfred, and now that he had picked up a few of his guns, his security guarding had been kicked up a notch. The super teens, having been raised in military facilities, knew enough about firearms to leave them alone, which was one less thing I needed to worry about, because it had definitely been an initial concern. You don't grow up in my generation without having an opinion one way or another on firearms. So anyway, I said, we'll be out for a few hours tops.
I thought we were getting started on the house today,
Stella said.
There's not a lot of time.
The vector manipulator was on her second glass of orange juice, her hair in her trademark Dutch braid, and a predatory look on her face as she scanned me. I recalled our brief kiss at the last battle, which seemed stupid in retrospect, but it had happened, and from the vibe I was getting, it would probably be the last time something like that happened between us. No sweat off my back. I had enough to deal with, and I was glad not to add any romantic gestures or sexual drama to my current equation. That is still the plan, I reminded her.
I really need to see the layout of our future home before I can get down to the basics of how we can gut it,
Ingrid said, shoveling home fries into her mouth. The thin beast morpher usually ate for two, yet she still maintained her almost fragile look. Next to her was Fiona, the water user, a goofy grin on her face as she sipped from a mug of hot chocolate. More eggs? Who wants more eggs? Here are more eggs! Clarence set a plate in the center of the table and spun back toward the kitchen. Over-easy eggs were piled on the plate, their greasy sides nearly slipping off as they settled. Rather than touch them, Grace telekinetically lifted individual eggs and distributed them to all of us.
Thanks!
Michelle stabbed into her egg, the yellow yolk spraying out onto the table and nearly hitting Fiona, who started laughing.
Sorry,
Michelle said, her mouth already full of egg. Don't play at the table, Veronique reminded them both. The metal vampire held a mug with both hands, an agitated look on her face as she watched breakfast unfold. You hungry? I said under my breath to her.
A little.
In that case, how about we feed after breakfast? Who's up? I asked the table.
I don't think I've gone yet,
Grace said. The psychic shifter was currently in Vince Porter's wife's form. I recalled our dark-skinned armor designer and his shapely wife fond of cosplaying. Not a bad form to choose, curvy as hell, and Grace had gone with extended eyelashes too, which she aimed toward me as her eyes went white. She batted her lashes, and suddenly we were in the room alone, a long table between us. Nice try, I thought to Grace, as the image I was seeing returned to my current reality, a long table surrounded by CBGs with Clarence waiting on us.
Just playing with you, Writer Gideon,
she thought back to me.
How long is this going to take?
Michelle asked, another egg in her mouth.
You guys will be back soon, right? Seriously, how long is this going to take?
Why? Do you have somewhere to go? I asked her with a grin on my face.
Yeah, I want to check out our new home in Colorado and it's... Oh my God, that's right,
Fiona said, her eyes now wide.
It's Michelle's birthday.
It's your birthday? Clarence called out from the kitchen. He popped his head out. Okay, that's fine. I'll get all the ingredients to make an amazing cake. What kind of icing you like? Do you want a chocolate cake? Do you want a vanilla cake? What about red velvet? Have you ever thought about an ice cream cake? Cream cheese icing is really nice, especially for a spiced cake. Just saying. I love baking.
I can't believe it's your birthday,
Dorian said, a smile on her face.
You shouldn't have announced it,
Grace said.
We were still going to surprise you.
We were? I thought to her.
Yes. I was going to tell you and the others when we were out. I thought it could be a surprise.
You could always just wipe her mind and we could still make it a surprise.
Good point.
Grace turned her white eyes towards Michelle. The young super was suddenly frozen, her face expressionless. Okay, everyone, I began. Grace is going to make Michelle forget that she has already announced her birthday. Wait, even better, she'll make Michelle temporarily forget it's her birthday until this afternoon, which gives us plenty of time.
Why?
Fiona asked.
Did you forget to buy her a gift? No, they want it to be a surprise,
Ingrid said, intuiting what I was getting at. Exactly. Clarence, how about we buy some cakes? But I like baking. I know, and you can bake later, but Michelle will know something is up if you're in the kitchen all day baking cakes. And another thing, any update on the professional clothing we ordered for Dorian? It should be here within 30 minutes, and I ordered a couple other options as well, just for some variety, he said after he checked his phone. He appeared a little flustered. The man really wanted to bake a cake. Tell you what, I told him. How about we have a post-birthday celebration tomorrow morning, and you can bake a breakfasty cake for everyone. Oh, I like that idea, Clarence said, his eyes brightening. And I know a few recipes, good ones too. Maybe a pancake cake. Baked cinnamon pancake cake with maple cream frosting. Boom! That's it.
I get to be the one that sings happy birthday to her, right? Chloe asked. Because I can do a pretty good rendition.
Sure, no problems with that. But don't turn her crazy or anything. That's what sugar is for.
What about presents?
Fiona asked.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?